It's one of the largest cities in the world, and it is running out of water. Tonight, there is serious concern in Mexico City about the taps running dry. It's a slow-motion disaster decades in the making that scientists say has been made worse by human-caused climate change. What can be done other than just hope for rain? In tonight's Prime Focus, our Matt Rivers files this in-depth report from Mexico City.
There is something jarring about a reservoir not full. It's like a morbid glimpse into the past before the water came. Ground once saturated just a few years ago, now cracked, dusty, desolate. This lake bed is crying out for more water, much like one of the biggest cities in the world, just 2 hours away, that it is supposed to nourish. In the hills that surround Mexico City, Bernardo Nonato Corona and his wife Manuela treat every drop of water with the utmost care.
Vamos a reciclar el agua para ahora sí que para otras cosas, por ejemplo, para el baño. Toda el agua que sacamos de la ropa con que enjuagamos, la ocupamos, la reciclamos. Sí.
This is what you do in a place where the water has never been more scarce.
Son más fuertes, sí, por las calores, sí, no. Si tenemos una poca de que nos dejan, no nos alcanza. Es más fuerte por la calor y sí estamos sufriendo algo muy fuerte que es el agua.
There is no running water here.
Y le damos varios usos al agua, miren.
And in the midst of drought, the rain hasn't come either. This water is purchased at great cost for a low-income family.
¿Cuál porcentaje de tus ingresos estás gastando en agua?
Pues sí, será que un 25% de...
25%.
Sí. Es que el agua es muy necesaria y se ocupa para todo. Para beberla, para el mantenimiento de la casa, para el uso personal, hasta para las propias plantas, que no llueve hay que tenerles que regar algo. Entonces sí se gasta bastante.
Nonato Corona's story is repeated millions of times over here in El Valle de Mexico, home to Mexico City's sprawling metropolis of some 22 million people, which, right now, is at a crossroads. For months, if not years, Mexico City's watershed has been receiving significantly less rainfall than average, and the results are apparent.
The water crisis in Mexico City is a long brewing crisis in a place that, like you say, has a huge abundance of water naturally. It comes down to management.
And for the first time, many are openly questioning if the city will literally run out of water in the near future. 60 to 70% of Mexico City's water comes from aquifers. A recent study finding as much as 5 million Olympic-sized pools of groundwater have been pumped out each year for the past decade.
We've drawn down on the reserves of water that we had. You know, an aquifer in Mexico City that took tens of thousands of years to fill up with water, in the course of 3 or 4 generations, we've dropped down to the bottom.
It's depleting the city's water supply and causing it to sink, in some places as much as 20 inches per year. And with groundwater dwindling, the city relies on rain to fill a reservoir system responsible for the rest. And with that historic drought fueled by human-caused climate change, a long rainy season is no longer a guarantee. The water levels in the Valle de Bravo reservoir have never been lower. It's only 20% full and dropping. People are cutting grass where 30 feet of water used to sit. The cows graze on what's left.
So we're walking down to our boat right now, but the crazy part about this is that up until a few years ago, all of this would have been completely covered by water. We would have been submerged by about 3-4 meters worth of water, and now it's dried out. Me llamo Matt. Iván, mucho gusto. Hola, perrito. Esto es lo peor.
Esto es lo peor ahorita.
¿Qué has visto?
Ajá, digamos todas digamos, las embarcaciones, todas las marinas, todos los clubs tienen problemas, como por decir, las rampas
Sí.
para poder desembarcar.
Sí, no alcanzan al agua, ¿no?
No alcanzan al agua.
That dam right there is a part of this water system, and it's designed to capture all this rainfall in this lake so it can be pumped to Mexico City. But right now, the water level here is so low, it doesn't even reach the base of that wall. In this moment, that dam is hardly necessary.
So the reservoirs are basically empty. That's 30–40% of the city's water that we're no longer getting, or we're getting like a trickle where we used to have a stream. So we're not recharging our aquifers. We're pumping an enormous, crazy amount of water out of the ground because there's 22 million people up here, and that is the basis of the problem.
Decades of underinvestment in Mexico City's water grid means that some 40% of all water pumped through its pipes is lost through leaks. The water just seeps into the ground. And when it does rain, the city pumps out billions of gallons of water to avoid flooding, water that could, in theory, be recycled. Representatives for Mexico City's water system did not reply to ABC News' request for comment. Fixing these issues would take political buy-in and acknowledging past mistakes. Something Mexico's president-elect and former mayor of Mexico City, Claudia Sheinbaum, is apparently reluctant to do.
Ningún científico, porque en eso no hay ciencia todavía que alcance, pudo pronosticar esta circunstancia.
To be clear, that's not true. Scientists say droughts are inevitable and should be planned for.
Ya sabemos de dónde va a venir el agua, cómo invertir, y esa va a ser la gran inversión que vamos a hacer en la zona metropolitana del Valle de México.
What she doesn't do is lay out exactly what that looks like. Officials from Sheinbaum's campaign did not reply to our request for comment. For people like Bernardo Nonato Corona and his family, an historic drought made worse by climate change, plus record heat and faulty infrastructure, means no water. Bernardo's daughter goes to a school nearby that is one of the few buildings here that has running water, thanks to a water catchment and filtration system installed by Enrique Lomnitz's nonprofit Isla Urbana. It's an innovative solution. When it rains, capture it and store it and filter it. It's a model for what Mexico City has to do overall. Use the water it has much more efficiently and sustainably, so when drought comes, the city is better prepared.
I think it's an existential crisis for the city. But I think that people are incredibly adaptive. I think people are very resilient. I think Mexico City's resilient. Mexico City's been through a whole lot of things.
And as climate change continues to make heat waves more extreme and droughts longer, for people like Bernardo and Manuela and millions more in Mexico City, everything is on the line.
No piensan en nuestros hijos, no pensamos que el día de mañana, así como vamos, va a ser más cara el agua y va a haber más escasez de agua. Entonces, si no le damos una solución a esto del agua, pues no sé qué va a pasar el día de mañana con nuestros hijos, nuestros nietos.
So much uncertainty there and beyond. Our thanks to Matt Rivers for that.